Hey YouTubers, as this is Columbus Day weekend and I have a little bit of free time from work and my mind is in full drive about the problems around me here in South Jersey, I wanted to talk about a topic that I've talked about before, sometimes alone, other times with my friend John, Gunnison Undercover. But I want to talk about it in a way that allows the average person to see exactly how much BS there is involved with suing a New Jersey town or New Jersey government agency. Last year alone, 50% of the lawsuits that were filed against NJ towns and public entities, government agencies, weren't filed from outsiders. They weren't filed from public citizens, folks. They were filed by government employees from those agencies that were either acting as whistleblowers or were seeking relief under the law against discrimination. And there's a lot of nonsense involved with the whole process, and it kind of has to be overhauled by Trenton sooner or later. And here's what happens. If right now I get falsely arrested, or you get falsely arrested, or our civil rights are violated, or a plethora of issues, we fall on a government sidewalk. Well, the first thing that we have to do is we have to file what's called a tort claim, which puts that government agency on notice for 180 days prior to filing suit. Now, the major criticism of the tort claim is it doesn't work like it's supposed to work. It's supposed to give the government agency notice that a lawsuit is coming in case they want to make a settlement offer, investigate and make a settlement offer. In reality, what it does is it affords them more time to rewrite the narrative and to destroy evidence. In this, and then after that's done, and the 6 months elapse, and you file the suit, then the first thing that happens is they get a chance to respond and file an answer, a motion to dismiss, etc., etc. They do that. Discovery goes on for another year and a half. This is a ridiculous, ridiculous process because these government agencies have the coffers to litigate for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. The average Joe or the government employee that acted as a whistleblower that's been fired doesn't have the resources to hold out for 5 years, and neither does the attorney that's working for them on a contingency. Hiram Bifidum. Ever hear of NJ versus Kane, 1997? I'm guessing it's some kind of appellate or Supreme Court case, but I have not heard of it. Oh. Was this the appellate case from Manville, New Jersey? NJ versus Kane? As if so, I didn't just hear about it, but it's a textbook case. If we're talking about the same case, Hiram. But I want to go into detail. Hey, Green Leader. I want to go into detail right now about the law, about how lawsuits are litigated and settled in the state of New Jersey. Every town and public entity belongs to what's called an indemnification fund. Okay? And if you live in Middlesex County or Atlantic County, there's an indemnification fund. And that groups together all of the government agencies' resources and assets to handle the lawsuit and to settle it. Atlantic City has been historically notorious for paying out on any lawsuit. You could literally probably file a lawsuit in Atlantic City. You tripped on the sidewalk and not have a shred of evidence, and they'd still probably give you $3,000 to go away. But that money isn't coming right from the city. 2/3 of it comes directly from the indemnification fund. Another 1/3 of it comes from the city. And the issue that's arising is all these indemnification funds are being managed with government money. They operate on a day-to-day basis with government money. They employ tons of people. I mean, statisticians, risk analysts, different types of quants, case managers, paralegals, you name it. They're giving out contracts for tens of millions, but they're probably one of the most opaque agencies in the state of New Jersey. You know? I mean, thanks, Denise. This is a good topic right now. We're talking about public employee or public agency lawsuits. Now, one of the most recent examples of where the heavy hitting lawsuits are in the state of New Jersey as well as across the rest of the country are wrongful conviction lawsuits. I'm reading a book that is reinvigorating my passion when it comes to public agency lawsuits in the context of wrongful convictions. And right now in the state of New Jersey, we have roughly 50,000 inmates in our prison system, including everybody from county, serving county conviction time, those awaiting trial, and those on felony conviction time in the prisons, prison hospitals, etc., etc. When one of these people are proved to be technically or substantively innocent, and even if they've only served a year or two, that lawsuit will probably reach at least the mid six figures. That's just the reality of it, folks. I mean, the system counts on people not being vindicated. The system counts on people pleading out, doing what they have to do in terms of paying a fine or probation, or in the case that it's something heinous in New Jersey, serving time and going about their way. In the case where somebody decides to exercise all of their rights, the system cannot handle it. If I was charged with a crime in Monmouth County and I said, you know what? I want a trial by jury, which I'm entitled to for a felony charge in the state of New Jersey. They're not going to be able to accommodate me and 40 other people that want that trial by jury. That's just the nature of the system. People don't understand it, folks. Prosecutors' offices don't run on a limitless budget. Okay? They have to pick and choose their battles too. And the same goes to a lesser degree with indemnification funds. If you sue a government agency and the indemnification fund says, hey, listen, Bergen County, New Jersey, we're a big county. Our indemnification fund, we have $84 million a year in settlement funds. We've already consumed $62 million. We really don't want to have to spend $4 million on this guy's false arrest lawsuit. Mitigate it and get the settlement down to $200,000-$300,000. I mean, that's the way that it works. Okay, you need to put the system in the corner, exercising your legal rights as much as the system is out to put you in the corner, exercising their legal rights. Okay. Now, one of the most corrupt, in my opinion, counties to litigate against is Somerset County, followed by Monmouth. In those counties, if you sue those counties, each one of the municipal indemnification fund attorneys that represent the town in lawsuits are so well connected with the judges. In most cases, they went to law school with them. In other cases, they worked for the county directly. And it's one hinky process, folks. What I do think and what I do support is this. Instead of having every town belong to a county indemnification fund and having different county agencies that belong to the county indemnification fund, the first thing that has to happen is this. We need to have a state board that settles all lawsuits. And having a state board that settles all lawsuits, what it would do is it would create a uniform system of litigating claims, which is going to save a lot of taxpayer money, and it's going to provide a form of consistency. It's not going to allow a town that knows that they screwed up to try and cover up the lawsuit by dragging it out for 5-10 years. And that's precisely what's happening. There was a case in South Jersey where a little boy drowned in his school swimming pool, and they dragged it out for 4 years until the parents got it done. 4 years without getting any kind of compensation. Denise, I'm working right now with John Gunnison Undercover. What it comes down to is this: we need to get a candidate elected. Okay, Denise, we need to get a candidate elected in Monmouth County to the Freeholder Board, because right now there's a lot of garbage going on, specifically in Monmouth County, that the average Joe has no clue about. Monmouth County has 53 towns, and out of those 53 towns, let me tell you something. Each year, probably at least 50 of them get sued. And when they get sued, folks, they don't want you to know about it. I mean, if you file a lawsuit or if you file an Oprah request for certain lawsuit documents, they can't refuse you. It's a public document. If I want a copy of the complaint that has been filed against, I don't know, Asbury Park City, they can't deny me a copy of that lawsuit. That's public information. The same way that they can't deny me a copy of the settlement agreement 3 years later after the lawsuit settles. But everything in between, I don't have a right to know under the current state of the law. We don't have a right to know what we're paying in litigation cost. We don't have the right to know what the litigation analysis says, because all that's protected by attorney-client privilege, which municipalities have. They enjoy attorney privilege the same way that you and I do as private individual citizens. Wow. What happened to open records? Now, in the case of open records, in the state of New Jersey, open records has been circumscribed so narrowly that what happened is this: with open records, we don't have the right to know anything that they don't want us to know. Okay, all kinds of investigatory records are exempt under Oprah. All kinds of criminal investigatory records are exempt under Oprah. Even right now, as we're speaking, we used to be able to get access to police dash cams. We don't have the right to see that anymore. The New Jersey Supreme Court affirmatively ruled that police dash cams are not an open record, but yet body cams are. I mean, you see, folks, the inconsistency of the jumble and the mumbo jumbo coming out of Trenton is staggering. See, Denise, that's not quite right. What you're referring to in the U.S. Constitution applies to the federal court system. Each state has the right under the 10th Amendment to self-regulate, to form their own laws, and to organize their own court systems, as long as it doesn't conflict with the Commerce Clause or the Dormant Commerce Clause. The states can pretty much do whatever they want. I mean, now there's other very slight aspects of the Equal Protection Clause and other regulatory mechanisms that Congress can use to constrain the states and to tie their hands. But under state law, they can do anything that doesn't conflict with the U.S. Constitution or the Commerce Clause. That's it. Those are the only two restrictions states have. I mean, the first thing that I would suggest in the state of New Jersey, and the first that's going to make a difference, and I'll hammer this until the day that I die, we need to reduce the number of municipalities from 565 down to about 400. Once that happens, the next thing that we do is we go around to each of these 21 counties and we say, hey, look, do we really need to have a county sheriff in each of the 21 counties? Does a county like Salem County that only has 62,000 people, less, what is that, a quarter of what the city of Patterson or half of what the city of Plainfield has in terms of population? Do they really need it? You know, I don't think so. So, in the case of all these towns getting sued and settling them out, the first thing that I'll say, and this goes back to the point that I originally made, is they don't settle unless they absolutely have to. Meaning the towns don't offer an early settlement. So, for example, there was a case in Somerville, New Jersey. A sheriff's officer was involved in a car accident, which was his fault. He was texting and driving. He had a prisoner in the backseat of the car, folks. Okay, that prisoner was banged up. Prisoner sued. They knew right away, hey, listen, this guy's got a case. This guy's going to get $20,000 to $30,000. Okay, so what they should have done is they should have cut the prisoner a check, had him sign the lawsuit settlement release. Bing, bang, thank you, ma'am. Instead of paying the prisoner the $30,000 that they knew he was going to get anyway, they decided to litigate the case for 2 years, rack up another $300,000 to $400,000 in attorney's fees, which was what 1,000 times more than the or 100 times more than the original settlement amount would have been. And as a result of that, the county wasted $300,000 of taxpayers' money on a BS $30,000 lawsuit. You know some, Hiram? No, Hiram. No, you're right. But that's not my point. My point is that the town should have, or not the town, the county should have settled the lawsuit rather than litigating. If the county can see right away that the lawsuit has merit to it, which this case it did. The guy was in a car accident. It was the sheriff's officer's fault. You can't deny it. Okay, the guy right now the guy right then would have settled for $30,000. All right. So rather than pay it and save the taxpayers $250,000, $500,000, what they did was they litigated it, and the only people that benefited were the attorneys that working for the county's insurance fund, because the average taxpayer that had to foot the bill for that additional $300,000 got hit hard. Every year, the average county indemnification fund probably bills out and spends easily $7 to $10 million on attorney's fees. Okay, so if I'm living in a county like, let's say, Camden County, New Jersey, okay, Camden County probably gets sued now if they have a county police force and everything else. My guess, about 45 to 50 times a year. Okay, so right now, an attorney on one of those cases is going to get $100,000. Okay, so right now, that's probably about $4 to $5 million in attorney's fees. That could be reduced to $1.5 million, and less than half if they did early settlements the way that they should. Okay, it's like the prisoner that got banged up in the car accident in Somerset County. They litigated that. They litigated a lawsuit that they knew right away off the bat that they were going to lose for 3 years. 3 years and $300,000 in attorney's fees. When what the proper thing to have done was say, okay, hey, listen, we're going to settle this claim. We don't want to drag out this process. We don't want to spend money on attorney's fees that we don't necessarily have to spend. We're going to cut you a check The lawsuit's been filed. It's been answered. We're in the beginning of discovery. We have enough to know that it has merit. And what that translates into is we have enough to know that we're going to lose on something. Here's your check for $30,000. Have a great day. Screw off. That's the right way to handle a public entity lawsuit. The early settlement method, which a lot of states have it. Philadelphia uses it. The city does. New York City uses an early settlement program. Why don't we do it in New Jersey? I'll tell you why. Because laws are written for the attorneys to get rich and the taxpayers to suffer. That's the simple reality of New Jersey government. Okay? I mean, it's like right now. Anything that you want to do that requires government approval, you almost need an attorney to do anything. I mean, in reality, because the system is becoming so complex. Green Leader, no, the cop did not get a ticket for texting and driving, but he got suspended for 1 day. Ooh. Well, let's put it this way, folks. I'll bet you that the 1 day the cop got suspended isn't going to cost him as much money as it is for the taxpayers to settle that lawsuit, $330,000. You know, that's the problem. The problem is that the entire state, from High Point down to Cape May, is operating completely opaquely. We can't really see individually what these lawsuits are costing municipalities on an individual basis because of attorney-client privilege. We can only get the settlement offers. And the settlement offers and releases do not have the lawyer's fees on it. That's just the cold, hard reality of it all. What I do think that you're going to see in the next 5 to 6 years, and this is because the state, quite frankly, is going bankrupt, is you're going to see a lot of reform in terms of public entity litigation. Because right now the state doesn't have the money to just keep litigating. And they're going to have to change the process, folks. Now, do I think that they'll implement an early settlement program? They're going to have to. Now, they could see to it that only car accidents and et cetera, certain types of cases qualify for the early settlement program. But the legislature in Trenton right now is between a rock and a hard spot. They need to find out ways to save the state from going under, which is easier said than done. And they have to do that while trying to walk a fine line of not pissing off powerful special interest. And in the NJ Bar Association, the New Jersey Personal Injuries Attorneys Association are probably two of the most powerful non-public employee-funded special interest in the state. Denise Stark, what I would do is this. I would, to find out how much money a cop in your town makes, file an Oprah request with the town clerk asking for a copy of the police contracts. I've probably filed in my life about 2,000 Oprah requests. And I have a template that I use for Oprah. And I know the best towns that comply with Oprah, and I know the worst towns. I mean, Monmouth County, the county government, does not like Oprah. They do not like the Open Public Records Act. What they'll do is they'll ignore. Okay, they have to respond after 7 days, or on the 7th day. It's the 6th day. You're going to get an email looking for an extension. And legally, they're entitled to one. Now, Monmouth County, you'll get that one extension. Then what they'll do is they'll send you a request for clarification. You see what I'm saying? They just drag it out. I mean, I've uncovered a lot of stuff that Monmouth County government did not want me to know. Okay? And a large portion of that, and the first thing that I uncovered in conjunction with my partner, John Gunnison Undercover, was that Monmouth County spent something like $200,000 to $300,000 on overtime for the 2017 county fair. And then what they did the next year, because they knew that we were onto them, is they switched it up and paid people comp time. I mean, the types of stuff that Oprah's used for, I'm seeing more and more are good for financial and contractual things. But if you're looking right now, to get information about any kind of litigation or scandal, the Open Public Records Act will not help you. It just won't. That's the cold, hard reality of it, folks. That law was, and I personally think OPRA, the Open Public Records Act, is unconstitutional because what it's doing is it's codifying your right to access public records, but it's doing it in a way that you're getting less than what you're entitled to. Under the New Jersey Constitution, folks, there's no such thing as a confidential record. If the government record is made, it's public, and that's it. And the Supreme Court said that in 1978 in Doe v. Ports. But since then, there's been a lot of very shifty rulings on that topic. I got to get going, folks. I have some personal business to attend to, but I will be on later tonight.